Hello everyone, it's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video tutorial. Today we are going to be coloring die cuts with Olo markers. We're also going to be matching those to an ink blended background. I absolutely love coloring my fancy cuts, die cuts with Olo markers. I think it gives an amazing custom result, and these balloons were very quick and easy to color. So we are going to start with the Hooray birthday cover plate. Now, I left this in the video because I did die cut my cover plate first, and then I took some of my favorite Hero Arts reactive inks and I started to blend the cover. And I went straight for the middle and I instantly realized my mistake. There are some score lines, not necessarily score lines, I guess I should say. There is a stabilizer there for the die cut, and I think that when you die cut it first, the ink picks up that area really badly. So I discarded that background and I am going to start ink blending another background. This does measure A2 size, 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and we're using Pool Party Key Lime Fizz and Blue Raspberry. Had to think about that for a minute for the background on the top panel. I really wanted something that I thought all of the balloons would look really amazing against. I love reactive inks. You can use any of your favorite inks that you enjoy ink blending with, things like Distress inks or Simon Says Stamp Positively Saturated inks. Really anything is going to work here. I love kind of the Skittles bright colors of these reactive inks. Before I start with that Key Lime Fizz, I am going to remove the blue ink from my glass mat. I'm using a glass mat from Glassboard Studio. There is a discount code down in the description below if you want to pick up a glass mat. Mine measures 16 by 20 inches. I love the size, and it is a magnetic glass mat. Now I'm blending in Key Lime Fizz. I think the key to any beautifully ink blended background is going to be going over those seams where the colors meet. Also, I want to mention that even though I have these two new red rubber background stamps from Hero Arts, they're the Sunburst Flowers on top and Bubble Celebration on the bottom, I didn't end up using those on these cards. I will try to use them on some other cards in future videos because both of them are absolutely amazing. Okay, I am happy with that. We are now going to take a stamp wheel. I like the stickiness of this. You can also use any kind of sticky mat. And I am placing this new background stencil right over. This is called the Sparkle Weave Stencil. You can see it looks like sparkles, and I've got some Hero Arts Unicorn White pigment ink that I am placing on my Glassboard Studio mat and picking up with a picket fence pouncer tool. This is kind of my preferred way, and the reason being, or my preferred way to apply, pardon me. The reason being is you can see that my pouncer has picked up a little bit of this ink, and I do not want to contaminate my ink pad. I'm also going in with the darker green ink here, Green Apple, I believe, and also a little bit more of the Blue Raspberry over the top to darken some of those areas on the background. I don't want this to be very prominent. I want it to be a very, very light application of those stardusts. Lots of layering went into the creation of my card today. And this would look beautiful in any color combination. Here is another color combination I created. I did opt to not make another card out of this. I preferred the blue background. Okay, now you can see that I did take the Hooray birthday cover plate and I die cut it again, but from my ink blended and stenciled background. Now I also have the new Balloon Bunch Fancy Die. It die cuts the balloon bunch. It also die cuts the bow, which we're using on our card today. It die cuts an individual balloon, and an individual balloon string. So there's a lot of really fun ways that you can utilize this amazing die set, and it is a great balloon set. I really, really love this. So now comes the part where we are going to custom color our balloons. I keep my Olo markers in this spinning clear organizer. It is from Target. There's a link below. Also should have popped up on the screen at some point. If you're interested, they are $15. I love them for storing my markers in them. It has 5 compartments. They're pretty small in size, so if you have the full collection of Olos, or I mean, it's really going to depend on what kind of markers you're using. You may need more than one, but I love it. The colors I'm using to color in my balloons will be listed down in the description below, as well as over on my blog. And we are going to very much do rainbow balloons, bright, happy colors. I've got some red violets. Then we're going to do some oranges next. And 2 shades per color is all I'm doing. Kind of going in with my light color, shading in the darker color, and then blending out with the lighter color again. And where I kind of got a little bit of orange into that balloon right next to it, I think we can color over it enough with our yellows to disguise that. I don't worry about it too terrible much. I'm trying to figure out what color to use with the yellow. So I'm going to actually use a yellow orange with the yellow, and I like it because it ends up giving the base yellow, it makes it kind of the highlight, and it looks amazing. The key to this entire card design today is layering. We have our ink blending and stenciling on the background. Our balloons are colored with Olos, and then we're going to actually stamp right over the top of our Olo marker coloring. And then once we attach our balloons to the background, we are going to add spatter with gouache and Distress Mica stain to add even more of that sparkly, magical feeling to this card. This was a card that was created in under an hour. I will tell you guys that. You gotta love that. And I think it could be streamlined even more if you wanted to make a bunch of them. Say you're sitting down to make a bunch of cards, you know, let's say for the month of May or for the month of June, if you're working ahead, you could sit down and make a bunch of these all at once, which I love. Another idea for these balloons, I think they would be great for any sort of celebration. Think baby, think graduation, wedding, whatever it might be. I think you could definitely do that. So limey greens, we've got our beautiful aqua here as well. I think I changed I was going to do a little bit darker aqua, but I went for the lighter, and I'm glad I did. I like that better. I think the dark would have maybe been too dark in this case. Then we're also going to do more of a baby blue. I wouldn't call this royal blue, maybe more of a baby blue, and then a lavender. So fun. I mean, I think rainbow is always a good idea. And I love a full assortment of rainbow color against that pool party key lime fizz background. To me, an aqua background works for almost anything, and that it makes it super versatile and one of my favorite things. Now, the balloon strings themselves, I did leave to the end. I kind of thought I would go in with maybe a gray, but I don't really want my balloon strings to be gray. So I'm going to end up going back with all of these colors that I have just used to color in the balloons, and we're going to mix and match them and add color to the balloon strings. This last balloon, I don't want to say was the most difficult to color. None of them were difficult, but you do kind of have to go out and around the balloon string. Adding in my dark color, and then we'll go back with the light and just blend that out. So pretty. Oh my goodness, I love it so much. So now again, we're just going to go from the little strings coming and the little ties basically coming from the balloons. And you can see I got my gray marker and I'm like, no, I'm glad I couldn't commit to it. So I'm going to go in with purple, and I was like, yeah, I like it. I like the color. So we're going to go all the way down. Now, right where all the balloon strings meet, I do think it kind of ends up looking a little messy because I didn't do them all the same color. But I did die cut that bow that comes with the Balloon Bunch Fancy die, and we're going to color that with some reds. I love a little pop of red on my cards. Even though we didn't do a red balloon, I think it ties in beautifully. And we're going to be placing that little bow die cut right where all of our balloon strings meet, and it will help disguise the fact that I don't particularly love where those colors meet. So that I kept that in mind while I was working on this, and always kind of think if there's something that maybe doesn't work out perfectly, is there a way to disguise it? Another idea would to have been to place our sentiment strip right over the top, right going right through there. That's another way to have hidden the fact that it doesn't look that awesome. Right there where the colors meet. Here are my reds. Oh, so pretty. Now with red, I did end up, I started with this color and I was like, oh, it's too much like the base color. Let's go back and grab a darker red and just have that darker red coming right from the center. We don't want to do too much. And I like it. That looks amazing. And again, working on a glass mat, you can easily clean up any of your alcohol ink markers from the glass mat with some rubbing alcohol, alcohol wipe, stamp cleaner. It wipes away very easily. Let's look at this. Oh, I love it. I love all the little die cuts in the background. Now we need to figure out where we want the balloons to go. And originally I was going to go full on right in the middle, but I had shifted my background and the balloons moved over to the right side of the card, and I loved that off center. So I think we're going to go ahead and attach those off center. The other thing you'll notice is I did lay my background right over that other background that I ink blended with Fruit Punch and Creamsicle and Lemon Drop, I believe, 3 other shades of reactive inks from Hero Arts. And I loved how that looked coming through the confetti die cut of that background plate. So we're going to go ahead and go with that. I liked how it added another pop of color and interest to the background. I'm placing foam adhesive dots on the back of my die cut balloon fancy die, and then we're going to place that right on the card. I did try to not put any adhesive right along the right side of the balloons that will hang off the edge. And I want them to go pretty straight up and down right on that background. Look how awesome that very light stenciling looks. Just love that little bit of texture and interest it adds. So I placed foam adhesive behind the balloons and then right back behind the center where the bow is to keep it nice and flush. And then we're going to trim off anything hanging off the edge of our panel. Now we are ready to add sentiments, finishing touches, and of course that spatter. I did take this little confetti stamp image, and it is from, I believe it's called from the Your Day Messages stamp set, and I am stamping it on all of the balloons, doing a tone on tone, and I did that for all of the balloons, and I used that single stamp. I sometimes stamped it multiple times to make the balloons look like they had some confetti in them, which instantly adds extra interest to those balloons. Then I've got my spatter box. I have some Frozen Fog Distress Mica stain. I place a little bit in my box, pick it up with a paintbrush, and spatter it over the background. This gives you much more control over where that spatter goes. And then we're going to take some white gouache. I will add a little water to help water it down to make it move a little bit easier. And I will go ahead and spatter that over the entire surface of my background as well. And I'm kind of going more in a diagonal on this one. I'm not going, I mean, there's not a ton of control, but you'll notice I'm trying to avoid the top right and bottom left corners and just adding in that white all over. Then you want to set this aside to completely dry. I just love how that looks. Now we need our sentiments. I am using 2 of the phrases from the Hooray birthday cover plate. I have die cut 2 of the words from white cardstock, and then I'm using a sentiment label die from Simon Says Stamp to go ahead and die cut those into sentiment strips. They're made to die cut right from that cover plate, but I am actually making sentiment strips with them for my card today. I picked Hooray and Let's Celebrate, and then I will die cut that sentiment label die again from black cardstock and layer it back behind my greeting. They just make really fun sentiment strips for the card design. And you could layer any color back behind them or even ink blend the white if you wanted to. With so much going on and so much color on my card, I opted to keep the sentiments pretty simple for this card. And we're going to die cut the other one. I like to, you can use a paper trimmer. I like to use these sentiment label dies or some sort of long skinny rectangular die to die cut my sentiment strips. It keeps them a lot more uniform. I tend to not be able to cut straight. So there are our sentiments. Let's go ahead and grab some black sentiments now, or sentiment strips that we can layer back behind. I think that's going to make the sentiments really pop. This looks pretty cute as is, but where I'm layering these over something that is popped up with foam adhesive, I feel like a solid cardstock back behind those greetings is really going to be key. I also want to play around with some more of the sentiments from the Your Day messages. I feel like we need to add some more stamping to that background bottom left corner, and this is going to be an additional design element for our card, including some kind of ghosting type of stamping with the woot woot stamp from this stamp set. So I will stamp Happy Birthday directly onto the background with black ink. I will be using a black VersaFine ink for this on my card today. But let's go ahead and layer our die cut word. I'm using the glue press to add a little bit fine lines of glue around those die cut words. We're going to layer it right over the black die cut sentiment strip, trim that to size with our scissors, and then we're going to position our foam adhesive back behind these strips and make sure to avoid where they overlap something that's already popped up with foam. In this case, even though the balloon strings are not popped up with foam, they are still dimensional because the rest of that image is popped up with foam. So I don't want to smash down, if you will, the balloon strings to the card. I'm going to kind of skip that area back behind, let's say from B to T, with my foam adhesive strips. So I love these thin foam adhesive strips. I'm going to place it on one side and then try to place it on the other, avoiding the balloon strings. So that little cutout area where there's no adhesive will kind of, you know, create a bridge, if you will, over that. Then we're going to put foam adhesive on the back of Hooray and attach that to our card. We're going to stamp Happy Birthday with black ink. And then we're going to take an acrylic block and we're going to take our green apple and blue raspberry inks, and we're going to stamp multiple times over the coordinating color of a background with those inks. So down at the bottom, we're going to do green on green. Up at the top, we're going to do that, you know, dark aqua on aqua. And I think it's going to look really fun. And I didn't get that stamped very well. Pardon my head in the way. I cannot believe I was able to fix that, kind of. It's a little slanted, but it's handmade, right? I decided to roll with it and not let my perfectionism ways cause me to have to completely recreate this card. Okay, woot woot, we're gonna do this down at the bottom. And really, once I have everything on here, it didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. This is very light. That's why I'm calling it ghosted, where you're not really seeing the woot woot. It's not exactly part of the sentiment. It is more a design element, as I mentioned, where it just adds to that overall look and feeling. I'm loving this design. I thought about using a different sentiment, but ultimately I decided I didn't think I needed to pull anything else in. And finally, we're going to glue this to a white top fold card base. And then we're going to take some of these Hero Hues enamel dots. These are in the color, let me tell you, translucent aquas. And I am going to place these scattered around. I love using like this picking tool, this pick and place tool from Simon Says Stamp, to keep my fingers out of the adhesive, since these are self-adhesive enamel dots. And we're going to place them throughout the card for a little extra dimension. There's a lot going on this card, but I do like that little bit of embellishment. They're very low profile. I love these Hero Arts enamel dots. I think they are so pretty. And I really like this color. I think these work with a lot of different things. They look great on here. So I'll add a couple more, and that is going to finish up our card design today. I did make a huge error and then I had to remove it. I thought I wanted to put enamel dots in the center. I don't like it. It looks like eyes. So I took those off. Although, wouldn't it be cute to do little eyes on that for a certain card? Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this birthday balloons card where I colored in the die cut balloons with Olo markers. The supplies I used to create my card are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, click that like button, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to always be notified when I have a new video. Thanks for watching!